These are those resolutions. The All Southern Cameroons People Conference, the ASCP, recalling that 64 member states of the United Nations cast a historic vote during the 994th plenary meeting of the United Nations General Assembly, 4th Committee, on decolonization on the 21st of April 1961, granting independence to Southern Cameroons, also called Ambazonia, regretting that the Southern Cameroons, a previously self-governing territory, from the years of 1954 to 61, was robbed of its sovereignty at independence, scheduled for 1st of October 1961, when the instruments of government were handed over to the annexationist neighboring La République du Cameroun, recalling that La République du Cameroun officially launched its annexation of the Southern Cameroons when it was imposed its constitution of the 21st December 1960 on Southern Cameroons, and has upheld it through colonization, domination, military occupation, and blind repression, culminating in an ongoing genocidal war of annexation, noting that this expansionist policy violates international law, including Article 4B of the African Union Constitutive Act on the sanctity of borders inherited from colonization, the 2002 International Court of Justice ruling on the Bakassi Peninsula, and Articles 19 to 24 of the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights on Self-Determination, noting further that the notion of independence by joining violated Article 76B of the United Nations Charter and United Nations General Assembly Resolution 1541 of 15 December 1960, which reaffirms independence as the inherent and inalienable right of all colonies and trust territories, recalling that the peaceful separation is consistent with international law, including notably the provisions of Principles 7 and 8 of United Nations General Assembly Resolution 1541 of the 15th of December 1960, recalling further that the sovereignty of the people of Southern Cameroons have been demanding negotiations over this crime against humanity since 1964, including through the outcomes of all the Anglophone Conference of 1993 and 1994 respectively, considering that the government of La République du Cameroun has curtailed and or rejected any effort at negotiations, including mediation offered by the African Union following the Banjul Court ruling recognizing Southern Cameroons as a people, different from the people of La République du Cameroun, an effort by teachers and lawyers to address the root causes of this recolonization, recognizing that La République du Cameroun first rejected the notion of forming any union with Southern Cameroons when it voted no on the United Nations General Assembly resolution offering such a union, and exercised its right to withdraw from the failed union when it passed restoration law in 1984, reverting to its name at independence on 1st January 1960, recalling that the Bamenda High Court, presided by a judge appointed by the dictator of La République du Cameroun, ruled on May 18, 1992, recognizing and restoring the sovereignty and statehood of Southern Cameroons under the appellation of Ambazonia. You can see the law also recognizing the declaration of 1st of October 217 fully and irreversibly restore the independence of Southern Cameroons as envisaged and publicly advertised by the adoption, the second All-Anglophone Conference of 1994, of the so-called zero option. considering also that the declaration of war on the people of Southern Cameroons on 30th November 2017 and the ongoing genocidal violence, scorched earth policies that have led to the destruction of communities, life and property, culminating in a humanitarian catastrophe aggravated by the refusal of La République du Cameroon to allow unfettered passage to humanitarian assistance, and the refusal to allow United Nations teams investigating right violations, also reaffirming the inalienable right of Southern Cameroons to self-defense and to a homeland of their own, free of domination by a foreign power. I hereby call my colleagues to fully read the resolutions. Thank you.
Hereby freely resolves, after days of intensive deliberations, Resolution 1, that the Southern Cameroons Liberation Council, henceforth referred to as ASCPC, is hereby created. It shall construe its standing orders and shall work collegially to coordinate, strategize, and carry out all such actions, including gender initiatives and internal conflict resolution mechanisms, as may be necessary to foster the liberation of Southern Cameroons. Resolution 2, the SCLC, initially comprising signatories of the Washington, D.C. March 30th Memorandum of Understanding, is mandated to discuss, deliberate, consult, and negotiate on behalf of the sovereign people of Southern Cameroons on all matters relating to securing their homeland, upholding their right to self-determination, international sovereignty, and recognition. Resolution 3, that the sovereign people of Southern Cameroons will never settle for less than outright independence and have therefore recommitted at the ASCPC to resist recolonization by La République du Cameroun until our homeland is recognized as the 55th sovereign African nation. Resolution 4, that Southern Cameroons is ready for negotiations with La République du Cameroun in the presence of third parties to discuss the terms of separation. That's right. Resolution 5, sovereign people of Southern Cameroons resist any law that forbids and or infringes on the right of our people to bear arms for self-defense and defense of our sovereignty, freedom, and dignity.
Resolution number 6, mandates the SCLC to enter into all negotiations necessary to ensure that the sovereign people of Southern Cameroons and Bazonia have sufficient arms, ammunition, training, and military alliance to maintain a state of independence for our homeland and to resist abuse, including any abuse from our own government or leaders. 7, that the ongoing genocidal war in Southern Cameroons is a byproduct of a Bosch decolonization process and an ongoing territorial dispute between the two Cameroons sparked by the annexationist policies of La République du Cameroun, and is therefore not an internal grievance problem that can be resolved as a domestic matter by La République du Cameroun. Resolution number 8, that the international community investigate the genocidal war unleashed by La République du Cameroun in Southern Cameroons and to take appropriate actions, including arraignment of government officials before International Criminal Court for perpetrating, sponsoring, financing, and sponsoring, whether they be citizens of La République du Cameroun or any other country of the world, and ensure the release Seseku Ayok Tabe Julius and all other prisoners of conscience adopted or deported to La République du Cameroun. Resolution number 9, that the international community, the United Nations, the African Union, the Economic Community of West African States, and the Congress of the United States to invoke responsibility to protect and take all other action necessary to put an end to the mass atrocities, crimes, war crimes, crimes against humanity, crimes bordering on genocide in this conflict. Resolution number 10, that the international community field human rights monitors and peacekeeping missions to Southern Cameroon to create a buffer zone, monitor and report on rights violations, document atrocities, crimes, and patrol the demilitarized zone separating Southern Cameroon from La République du Cameroun.
Resolution number 11, that an emergency humanitarian assistance program be deployed to rescue millions of at-risk Southern Cameroonians and commit and facilitate unimpeded passage of humanitarian relief for civilians in need. Resolution number 12, that the SCLC enter into consultations with humanitarian organizations and as needed to help coordinate, supervise, and or implement humanitarian assistance program through a joint treasury managed by an external board. Resolution number 13 condemns all human rights abuses perpetrated by the military of La République du Cameroun, restoration forces, and all rogue units involved in the current conflict, abducting, collecting ransom, and preventing the functioning of educational institutions. Resolution number 14, that the people of Southern Cameroon have no intention of attacking any other country, including La République du Cameroun, despite the genocide they are perpetrating on our homeland. Resolution number 15, thank the Nigerian community and activists like Adiola Fayen for the hospitality and enormous assistance they are providing to our people in refugee camps in Nigeria. Done in Washington, D.C. this 30th day of March 2019.